Hi guys, my name is Kurayami. Welcome back to another chapter of Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. Last time we spoke, Michael and Angel spoke together for the first time, so that was exciting. Let's go and see what happens in chapter 4. Hosea did come back the next night and the next. Each time Angel saw him, her unrest grew. He talked, and she felt desperation stirring. She knew better than to believe anyone about anything. Hadn't she learned the hard way? Hope was a dream, and reaching for it turned her life into unbearable nightmare. She wasn't going to get sucked in by words and promises again. She wasn't going to let a man convince her there was anything better than what she had. Yet, she could not dispel the tension that rose each time she opened her door and found him standing outside it. He never laid a hand on her. He just painted word pictures of freedom that resurrected the old, aching hunger she felt as a child. It was a hunger that had never died. Yet each time she had run away to find an answer to it, despair had fallen upon her. And still, she had kept trying. Last time, the hunger had sent her running from the Duke and landed her here in this foul, stinking place. Well, she had finally learned her lesson. Nothing ever got better. Things only went from bad to worse. It was wiser to adjust and accept and survive. Why couldn't this man get it through his thick head that she wasn't going anywhere with him or anyone else? Why wouldn't he give up and leave her alone? He kept coming back over and over again, driving her crazy. He wasn't smooth and charming like Johnny. He didn't use force like Duke. He wasn't like 100 others who paid and played. In fact, he wasn't like anyone she'd ever known. This was what she didn't like the most. She couldn't fit Michael Jose into any mold she knew. Each time, as soon as he fit, she tried to put him out of her mind, but something about him gnawed at her. She found herself thinking about him at the oddest times and had to force herself to think of something else. When she succeeded, others roused him again. "Who was the man with you last night?" Rebecca asked over supper. Angel stifled her irritation and buttered her bread. "Which one?" she said, and glanced across the buxom redhead. "The big, good-looking one. Who else?" Angel bit into her bread, wanting to enjoy her meal of sourdough bread and venison stew in peace and not be questioned about who went in and out of her room. Who cared what any of them looked like? After a while, they all looked the same anyways. "Give over, Angel," Rebecca said impatiently. "It's not as though you care. He was with you last night?" "Last one out your door. I saw him in the hallway. I came upstairs." All 6 feet of him. Dark hair, blue eyes, broad shoulders. Every inch of him lean and hard. He walked like a soldier. When he smiled at me, I felt it all the way down to my toes. Lucky passed on the stew in favor for the bottle of red wine. "If a pock-marked midget from Nantucket smiled at you, you would feel all the way down to your toes." "Drink your wine. I wasn't talking to you," Rebecca said contemptuously. She had no patience for Lucky's good-natured insults, and she turned her attention to Angel. "You can't pretend you don't know the one I mean. You just don't want to tell me anything." Angel glared at her. "I don't know anything. I just like to enjoy my meal if you don't mind." Tori laughed. "Why shouldn't she want to keep him for herself?" she said, her British accent thick. "Maybe Angel's finally met a man she likes." Others laughed. "Maybe she doesn't want to be bothered like she says," Lucky said. Rebecca sighed. "Angel have all the pity. I've had one untried boy after another for the last month. I'll welcome a man for a change." Tori pushed her plate away. "If someone like him came to my room, I'd lock him in and keep him there." Angel poured herself a glass of milk and wished they would all leave her alone. "That's the second glass you've had," Renee said to her from the end of the table. "Duchess said 1 glass for each of us because it's so expensive. And you're taking 2. Lucky smirked. I told her before supper she could have my share of milk if I could have her share of wine. That's not fair, Renee whined. I like milk just as much as Angel does. She always gets what she wants. Lucky grinned. If you had another glass of milk, it would just turn into more fat around your middle. As they began to quarrel, Angel wanted to scream and leave the table. Her head was throbbing. Even Lucky's endless needling irritated her, and Rebecca would not give up about the wretched man. He must have hit a big to make it to your room 3 times in as many nights. What's his name? Don't pretend you don't care. All Angel wanted to be left alone. He's not a miner, he's a farmer. A farmer? Tori laughed. Who are you trying to fool, dearie? He's no farmer. Farmers look dumb as the dirt they plow. He said he was a farmer. That doesn't mean he is one. What's his name? Rebecca asked again. I don't remember. Did the man have to plague her even when he wasn't around? Oh yes, you do, Rebecca said, angry now. Angel threw her napkin down. Look, I don't ask names. I don't care who they are. I give them what they want and they leave. That's it. Then why does he keep coming back? I don't know and I don't care. Lucky poured another glass of wine. Rebecca, you're just jealous he isn't coming to your room. Rebecca glared at her. Why don't you shut your mouth? Keep on drinking the way you do, and the Duchess will toss you out on your backside. Unruffled, Lucky laughed. It's still a pretty good backside. If women weren't so scarce, no one would bother knocking on your door at all, Tori sneered. Lucky was warming to battle. I'm better drunk than either of you are sober. Angel ignored the insults being slung back and forth, relieved to be left alone. But now he was on her mind again. Maggie was sitting next to Angel and hadn't said anything through the whole exchange. Now she looked at Angel as she stirred the teaspoon of precious sugar into her black coffee. So, what is this delectable man like, Angel? Has he got any brains? Angel gave her a dark look. Invite him in and find out for yourself. Maggie arched her brows and leaned back smiling. Really? I might just do that with all the interest you stir among our friends here. She studied her. You really wouldn't mind? Why should I? I saw him first, Rebecca said. Lucky laughed. First you'll have to knock him out and get someone to drag him into your room. Duchess won't like it, Renee said, her thin face waspish. You know the men pay more for Angel, though I can't see why. Because she looks better dog-tired than you look on your best day, Lucky crowed. Renee hurled her fork at her, which Lucky dodged easily, and twanged off the wall. Please be quiet, Lucky, Angel said. Sure Magellan would come in. Lucky never stopped to think when she was drinking. So you really don't care, Rebecca said. You can have him with my blessing, Angel said. She didn't want him bothering her anymore. He wanted her. She felt it radiating from his body, but he never did anything about it. He talked. He asked questions. He waited for what she didn't know. She was tired of trying to think up lies to make him happy. He just asked the same question again in a different way. He wouldn't give up. Each time he came, he was more determined. The last time, Magwan had come back twice and finally shouted through the door that he had better get dressed and get out if he didn't want trouble. Hosea hadn't even unbuttoned his shirt. And he said the same thing he always did before he left. Come away with me. Marry me. I already said no 3 times. Don't you ever get the message? No, no, no. You're not happy here. I wouldn't be any happier with you. How do you know? I know. Put on something you can travel in and come with me, right now. Don't think about it so much, just do it. Magwan might have something to say about it, but she saw plainly Magwan didn't worry him at all. She wondered then what it would be like to live with a man like this, who didn't seem afraid of anything. But then, Duke hadn't been afraid of anything either, and she knew what living with him had been like. For the last time, no, she said firmly, and reached for the doorknob. He caught her wrist. What's keeping you here? She pulled her wrist free. I like it. She yanked her door open. Now get out. I'll see you tomorrow, he said and went out. Angel had slammed the door and leaned back against it. She always had a splitting headache by the time Hosea left. The night she had sat on the end of her bed and pressed her fingers against her temples, trying to ease the pain. The same pain that plagued her now. Pain that only got worse as Hosea's question echoed in her mind. What was keeping her here? Why didn't she just walk out the door? Her hands balled into fists. She would have to get her gold from the Duchess first, and she knew there was no way the woman would just give over all of it at once. Piecemeal, that's what she would get. Enough for a few luxuries, but not enough to live on. The Duchess couldn't afford to be that generous. And what if Angel did not have enough gold to leave? It could turn out to be the same way it had the ship at the end of the voyage, when she had been beaten and left behind for those scavengers to find. Those few days on her own in San Francisco had been the closest thing to perdition she had lived. She'd been cold, hungry, afraid for her life. She had looked back on life with Duke with actual longing. Duke, of all people. Desperation filled her. I can't leave. Without someone like Duchess or even Magawan, they would tear me to pieces. She didn't want to risk getting with Michael Hosea. He was by far a darker unknown. Michael was running out of gold dust and time. He didn't know how to get through to that woman. He could see her withdraw from him the moment she opened the door. He talked, and she looked through him and pretended to listen. But he knew she heard nothing. She was just waiting for the half hour to be up so she would have the pleasure of telling him to leave. I've got enough dust for one more try, Lord. Make her listen. Going up the stairs, he was going over in his mind what he was going to say to her this time, when he bumped into a redhead. He drew back with an embarrassed apology. She laid a hand on his arm and smiled up at him. Don't bother with Angel tonight. She said you liked me better. He stared down at her. What else did Angel say? That she sees it as a favor to have you taken off her hands. He clenched his teeth and took her hand away. Thanks for telling me. He went down the hall. Standing in front of Angel's door, he tried to get control of his anger. Jesus, were you listening? What am I doing back here? I've tried. You know I have. She doesn't want what I'm offering. What am I supposed to do? Drag her out of there by her hair? He rapped twice, the sound echoing loudly down the dim corridor. She opened the door, took one brief look at him, and said, "Oh, it's you again." "Yes, it's me again." He walked in and slammed the door behind him. Her brows rose. An angry man could be unpredictable and dangerous. This one could do a lot of damage with her without much effort. "I'm not getting anywhere with you, am I?" "It's not my fault you're wasting your gold," she said quietly. "I did warn you the very first night, remember?" She sat down in the bed. "I haven't misled you. I've got to go back to the valley and get some more work done. I'm not stopping you." His face was pale and rigid. "I don't want to leave you here in this godforsaken place." She blinked at his outburst. "It's not your business." "It became my business the minute I saw you." Her foot began to swing gracefully back and forth, ticking off the time. Asleep with her eyes open, she was self-contained. Nothing showed in her beautiful blue eyes. "You feel like talking again?" She covered a yawn and sighed. "Go ahead, I'm all ears." "Am I putting you to sleep?" She heard the edge in his voice, and she knew she was getting to him. Good. Maybe a little more would send him on his way. "It's been a long, hard day," she rubbed the smile off her back. "And all this talk gets old after a while." His fuse was lit. "You'd like it better if I joined you on that bed, wouldn't you? At least you can go away feeling you've finally gotten something for all your gold dust." Michael's heart beat hard and fast. He went to the window, shaking with anger and physical desire. Drawing the curtain back, he looked out. "Do you like your view from up here, Angel? Mud, slapped up buildings and tents, Men drunk and singing barroom songs, everyone fighting to survive? Angel. It was the first time he called her that. For some reason it hurt. She knew she was finally getting to him. She waited for the rest. He would say his piece, take what he wanted, and leave. That would be the end of all of it. All she had to do was make sure he didn't take a piece of her out the door. Or downstairs, he said tersely. Maybe you'd like that better. He let the curtain drop back and face her. Does it give you a feeling of power to have me bidding for your favors every night? I don't ask you to do it. No, you don't, do you? You don't ask for anything at all. You don't need anything. You don't want anything. You don't feel anything. Why don't I just go down the hall to the redhead's room? Isn't that it? The one you said could take me off your hands? So that was it. His pride was hurt. I just wanted to see you leave town with a smile on your face. You wanted to see me smile? Say my name. What's your name? I forgot. He pulled her up off the bed. Michael Hosea. Losing himself, he cupped her face. Michael. The feel of her skin made him forget why he was there, and he kissed her. It's about time. She moved forward against him, setting him on fire. Her hands moved, and he knew if he didn't stop her, he would lose, not just the battle, but the whole war. When she unbuttoned his shirt and slipped her hand in, he jerked back from her. Jesus, he said, Jesus. Stunned, she looked up at him. It came to her with the shock of clear understanding. How did you manage to make it to the ripe old age of 26 without ever having been with a woman? He opened his eyes. I made a decision to wait for the right one. And you really think I'm it? She laughed at him. You poor dumb fool. She finally got him. Jesus, I misunderstood. This can't be the one you sent for me. He could spend the rest of his life trying to make her understand. He wanted to grab her and shake her and call her all kinds of a fool, and all she did was look back at him with that smile on her face, as though she had finally figured him all out. He was labeled and put in a bin. Michael lost his temper. If that's the way you want it, so be it. He slammed out the door and strode down the hall. He went down the stairs, straight across the casino, slapped the swinging doors out of his way, and went out. He kept on walking, hoping the night air would cool him down. Michael. Forget it. Just forget I ever asked for a wife. I don't need one that badly. Michael. I'll stay celibate. Michael, beloved. He kept walking. God, why her? Tell me that. Why not a gently weird girl, untouched until her wedding night? Why not a God-fearing widow? Lord, send me a plain woman, kind and enduring, someone who will work at my side in the fields, plowing, planting, and harvesting. Someone who get dirt beneath her fingernails and doesn't have it already in her blood. Someone to give me children, or someone with children already, if it's not in your plan for me to have my own. Why do you tell me to marry a harlot? This is the woman I have chosen for you. Michael stopped furious. I'm no prophet, he shouted in the darkened sky. I'm not one of your saints. I'm just an ordinary man. Go back and get Angel. It's not going to work. You're wrong this time. Go back. She's good for sex, I'm sure. She'll give me that much, but nothing else. You want me to go back for that? I'm never going to get more from her than one measly half hour of her time. I go up to that room with hope and come out defeated. Where's your triumph in this? She wouldn't care if she ever saw me again. She's trying to pass me off like the others, like a... No, Lord. No. I'm just another faceless man in a long line of faceless men in her life. This can't be what you had in mind. He raised his fist. And it's sure not what I asked for. He raked his hands through his hair. She made it plain enough. I can have her any way I want, from the neck down, excluding the heart. I'm only a man, Lord. Do you know what she makes me feel? It started to rain, a cold and driving rain. Michael stood in the dark, muddy road a mile out of town. rain running down his face. He shut his eyes. "Thanks," he said harshly. "Thanks a lot." Hot, angry blood pumped fast through his veins. "If this is your way of cooling me off, it's not working very well. Do my will, beloved. I drew you up from that desolate pit, out of the miry bog, and set your feet upon a rock. Go back for Angel." Michael held his anger close out like a shield. "Nothing doing. The last thing I want or need is a woman who doesn't feel a thing." He started walking again, this time heading for the livery stable where his wagon and horses were. "It's a poor time for traveling, mister," the liveryman said. "A storm's coming. It's as good as any, and I am pure sick of this place. You and 1,000 others." Michael had to pass the palace to leave town. The drunken laughter and the piano music grated. He didn't even look at her upstairs window as he drove by. Why should he? She was probably working. As soon as he got back to his valley and forget all about the hell-bound girl, he would feel better. And the next time he prayed to God to send him a woman to share his life, he would be a lot more specific about what kind of he wanted. Angel was standing at her window when she saw Hosea go by. She knew it was him even with his shoulders hunched against the downpour. She waited for him to look up, but he didn't. She watched him until he was out of sight. Well, she had finally succeeded in driving him away. It was what she wanted from the start. So why did she feel so bereft? Wasn't she glad she had finally rid of him? He wouldn't be sitting here in her room again, talking and talking and talking until she thought she would go crazy. He finally called her Angel. Angel. She raised a trembling hand and put it against the glass. The cold seeped into her palm and up her arm. She pressed her forehead against the pane and listened to the drumming rain. The sound of it made her remember the shack by the docks and her mother smiling in death. "Oh God, I'm suffering. I'm dying." She began to shake and let the curtain fall back into place. Maybe that was the only way out. Death. If she were dead, no one ever used her again. She sat on the bed and drew up her knees tightly against her chest, pressing her head against her knees and rocked herself. Why did he have to come to her? She had come to accept things the way they were. She was getting by. Why did he have to destroy her inner stillness? She clenched her hands into fists. She couldn't get rid of the vision of Michael Hosea driving away in the rain. She had an awful gut feeling she had just thrown her last chance away. Well, guys, that is the end of chapter 4. Some interesting development. Looks like Michael's actually getting through to Angel this time. If you want to see or listen more, please consider commenting, subscribing. I'm uploading these chapters every Saturday, so there's that. But thank you guys so much for watching or listening. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.